The rain hammered the black umbrella above my head as they lowered Mom's casket into the wet Ohio ground. I stood there in my only good suit, watching them bury the woman who raised me alone for 32 years. My sister Emma stood beside me, dry-eyed, checking her phone like she had somewhere better to be. The pastor said words about eternal rest and God's plan. I wasn't listening. I kept thinking about Mom's last words to me in the hospital. "Take care of the house, Alex. It's all I have left to give you." She squeezed my hand so tight it hurt. Emma wore designer clothes I knew she couldn't afford on her teacher's salary. Her husband Jake stood behind her in an expensive coat, both of them looking like they were at a business meeting instead of our mother's funeral. When the service ended, people started walking back to their cars. Emma grabbed my arm and pulled me aside, away from the others. She reached into her purse and pulled out a thick white envelope. "Alex," she whispered, her voice sweet like honey, "we need to talk about Mom's house." Emma's fingers were cold when she pressed the envelope into my hands. The paper felt heavy, official. My name was written across the front in handwriting I didn't recognize. "What is this?" I asked, turning it over. The rain had stopped, but water still dripped from the oak trees around us. "It's from Mom's lawyer," Emma said, glancing around to make sure no one else could hear. "She left the house to both of us, 50-50. But Alex, I need my half now." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean now?" Jake stepped closer, his breath smelling like expensive cologne and something else. Something bitter. "Emma's got some financial troubles," he said. "We need to sell the house quick and split the money." I looked at the envelope in my hands. Mom had been dead for exactly 4 hours, and my sister was already trying to cash in. "Emma, we just buried her. Can't this wait?" Her face changed. The fake sweetness disappeared. "No, it can't wait. I've got debts, Alex. Serious ones. The house is worth $300,000. I need my half to pay people back." "What people?" I asked. Emma and Jake exchanged a look that made my skin crawl. "It doesn't matter what people," Emma snapped. "What matters is that house needs to be sold. Mom's lawyer said we both have to agree to sell it, or it sits there doing nothing." I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside was a legal document with a lot of words I didn't understand. But I could see both our names at the bottom and the address of Mom's house. "She wanted you to have somewhere to live," Emma continued, her voice softer now. "But Alex, be practical. You work at the auto shop. You can't afford to maintain that big house alone. The property taxes, the repairs, the utilities, it'll eat you alive." Jake nodded. "We found a buyer already. Cash offer. We could close next week." My throat felt tight. I'd lived in that house my whole life. Mom and I painted my bedroom blue when I was 8. We built a treehouse in the backyard when I was 12. Every Christmas morning, every birthday, every memory I had was in those rooms. "You already found a buyer?" I asked. Emma smiled. "I've been preparing for this day, Alex. Mom was sick for months. I knew we'd need to act fast." The way she said it made me feel sick. "You've been preparing?" I repeated, staring at my sister. Around us, the last of the funeral guests were getting into their cars. The cemetery workers waited nearby with shovels. "Don't look at me like that," Emma said. "Someone had to be practical. You were too busy playing the perfect son, bringing her soup and holding her hand." Jake put his arm around Emma's shoulders. "Look, Alex, we're not trying to hurt you. We're trying to help. Take your $150,000 and buy a nice little apartment somewhere. Start fresh." I folded the document and put it back in the envelope. My hands were shaking, but not from cold. "I need time to think about this." Emma's eyes narrowed. "How much time?" "I don't know. A week? A month? She's been dead for 4 hours, Emma." "A week," Jake said firmly. "We'll give you a week to come to your senses. But Alex, don't make this harder than it needs to be. We're family. We should stick together." Family. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. I watched them walk away, Emma's heels clicking on the wet pavement. She didn't look back at Mom's grave. She didn't say goodbye. She just left. I stood there alone until the workers finished filling the hole. The house felt different when I got home. Empty in a way it never had before. Even when Mom was in the hospital, I hung my suit jacket in the closet and sat down at the kitchen table where Emma and I used to eat cereal before school. I pulled out the envelope and read the document more carefully this time. It was a copy of Mom's will, dated just 3 months ago. Emma was right about one thing. We both inherited the house 50-50. But something bothered me. Mom had never mentioned changing her will. She'd always told me the house would be mine someday. This house has been in our family for 40 years, she used to say. Someday it'll be yours to take care of. I walked into Mom's bedroom and opened the little desk where she kept important papers. Bills, insurance documents, old photos. In the bottom drawer, I found a business card. Patricia Williams, attorney at law. I'd never heard Mom mention a lawyer named Patricia Williams. I called the number. Williams Law Office, a woman answered. Hi, I'm Alex Parker. My mother just passed away and I have some questions about her will. I'm sorry for your loss, the woman said. But I don't have any clients named Parker. Are you sure you have the right office? My blood went cold. This is Patricia Williams? No, I'm her secretary. Patricia Williams retired 2 years ago. I hung up the phone and stared at the business card. The law office existed, but Patricia Williams hadn't worked there in 2 years. So who wrote Mom's will? I looked at the document again, studying every line. The signature looked like Mom's handwriting, but something felt wrong. The date was March 15th, just 3 months ago, but Mom had been really sick then. Barely able to hold a pen. My phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Did you look at the papers? The buyer wants to move fast. We could have cash by Friday. Cash by Friday. 5 days after Mom died. I texted back, I need more time. She called immediately. Alex, you're being selfish. This money could change both our lives. Where did you get this will, Emma? Silence. What do you mean? I called the lawyer. Patricia Williams retired 2 years ago. More silence. Then Emma laughed, but it sounded forced. Mom must have had an old business card. Lawyers work with lots of different people, Alex. Don't overthink this. But I was already overthinking it. I was thinking about Emma's expensive clothes and Jake's new car. I was thinking about how Emma suddenly showed up at the hospital more often in Mom's final weeks. After Emma hung up, I drove to the auto shop where I worked. My boss Charlie was still there, doing paperwork in his office. He looked up when I knocked on the door. Alex, what are you doing here? I told you to take the week off. I need a favor, Charlie. You know that friend of yours who's a lawyer? The one who helped you with your divorce? Charlie nodded. Amanda Foster. Why? I pulled out the will. I need someone to look at this. I think something's wrong with it. Charlie took one look at my face and reached for his phone. Amanda? It's Charlie. I got a friend here needs some legal advice. Can you squeeze him in tomorrow morning? He hung up and handed me a slip of paper with an address. 9 a.m. And Alex? If you think something's fishy, it probably is. Emma always was too smart for her own good. I looked at Charlie in surprise. What do you mean? He rubbed his beard. Your mom used to bring you here when you were a kid, remember? She'd sit right in that chair and worry about Emma. Said she was afraid that girl would charm her way into trouble someday. Mom worried about Emma. I'd forgotten that. Emma was always the smart one, the one who got good grades and knew how to talk to adults. But Mom used to say being smart and being wise were two different things. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked through the house, touching things that belonged to Mom. Her coffee mug in the kitchen sink, her reading glasses on the nightstand, her favorite blanket folded on the couch. In her bedroom closet, I found a shoebox tucked behind her winter coats. Inside were letters, old photos, and a folder labeled important papers. I opened the folder and my hand started shaking. There was another will. This one was dated 5 years ago and written by a lawyer named Harold Brooks. According to this will, I inherited the entire house. Emma got Mom's savings account and her jewelry, but the house was mine alone. There was also a letter in Mom's handwriting. To whoever finds this, I pray it's Alex. I've hidden this because I'm afraid Emma will try to change things after I'm gone. This house belongs to Alex. It's his home, and it should stay his home. If something happens to my newest will, this is the real one. Witnessed by Harold Brooks and Mrs. Janet from next door. I sat on the floor of Mom's closet and cried for the first time since she died. The letter was dated just 4 months ago. Mom knew Emma was up to something. She'd tried to protect me the only way she knew how. My phone buzzed. Another text from Emma. Alex, I'm coming over tomorrow to pack up Mom's things. We need to get the house ready to show. I texted Emma back, don't come over yet, I'm not ready. She called within seconds. Not ready for what? Alex, you're acting like a child. Mom is gone. We need to deal with reality. Reality is that I need time to grieve my mother. Emma sighed dramatically. Fine. Be emotional, but the buyer won't wait forever. If we lose this sale, we might not get another chance. Who is this buyer anyway? Just some guy who flips houses. He pays cash and closes fast. That's all that matters. After she hung up, I called information and asked for Harold Brooks, attorney. There were 3 in the city. The second one was the right one. Brooks Law, a man answered. Mr. Brooks, this is Alex Parker. My mother was Helen Parker. She passed away yesterday, and I found some documents with your name on them. Alex, his voice softened. I'm so sorry for your loss. Your mother was a wonderful woman. She came to see me several times over the past few years. My heart pounded. Several times? Yes, the last time was about 4 months ago. She was very concerned about your sister Emma. She suspected Emma might try to contest her will or create problems after she passed. Mr. Brooks, I need to see you. Can you meet me tomorrow afternoon? Of course. And Alex, bring whatever documents you have. All of them. The next morning, I met Amanda Foster at her law office. She was a thin woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that reminded me of a hawk. I showed her both wills and Mom's letter. Amanda studied the documents for 20 minutes without speaking. Finally, she looked up at me. Alex, the newer will is a forgery. A good one, but still a fake. My stomach dropped even though I'd suspected it. How can you tell? Several things. The signature is traced, not natural. The witness signatures don't exist in any legal database. And most importantly, Patricia Williams retired 2 years ago, just like you discovered. She pulled out a magnifying glass and pointed to the signature. See how the ink pressure is inconsistent? Someone copied your mother's signature from another document, probably several times until they got it right. So the real will is the older one? Where I inherit everything? Amanda nodded. The one witnessed by Harold Brooks and your neighbor. That's a legal document. This newer one is worthless. I felt relief and anger at the same time. Relief that Mom had really left me the house. Anger that Emma had tried to steal it from me. What do I do now? I asked. Amanda smiled like a shark. We catch your sister in the act. Amanda's plan was simple but brilliant. I would pretend to go along with Emma's scheme while she gathered evidence of the forgery. Then we'd present everything to the police. The key is not to let her know you suspect anything, Amanda explained. Let her think she's winning. Desperate people make mistakes. I drove home and called Emma. I've been thinking about what you said. Maybe you're right. Maybe I should sell. Emma's voice brightened immediately. Really? Oh, Alex, that's wonderful. You're making the right choice. But I want to meet this buyer first, and I want to understand all the paperwork. Of course, Emma said quickly. We can meet tomorrow. I'll bring Jake and the buyer. We'll explain everything. After I hung up, I called Harold Brooks. He agreed to meet me that afternoon at a coffee shop downtown. When I walked in, I recognized him immediately. He was the tall man with white hair who'd spoken at Mom's funeral. You were there yesterday, I said as I sat down. Harold nodded sadly. Your mother asked me to come. She wanted me to see who showed up and who didn't. She was very worried about what might happen after she passed. He pulled out a manila folder and she gave me these to hold. Copies of everything, including photos of the original, she hid in her closet. Harold spread the photos across the coffee shop table. Pictures of the real will, Mom's letter, even photos of the hiding place in the closet. Your mother was thorough, Harold said. She suspected Emma might try something like this. How long had she been worried about Emma? Harold stirred his coffee slowly. About a year. Emma started visiting more often, asking questions about the house, about your mother's finances. When Emma offered to help with legal paperwork, your mother got suspicious. My throat felt tight. Emma offered to help with legal stuff? She said she wanted to make sure everything was in order for when your mother passed. Said she could recommend a good lawyer, someone who would make things simple. Patricia Williams, the retired lawyer whose business card Emma had somehow gotten. Your mother pretended to go along with it, Harold continued. She met with Emma's fake lawyer and signed the fake will, but she also came to me and made sure the real will was protected. I stared at the photos. Mom had known Emma was trying to cheat me. But she'd played along to protect me. She'd been smarter than both of us. There's something else, Harold said. He pulled out another document. Your mother asked me to investigate Emma's financial situation. She hired a private investigator. He handed me a folder full of bank statements, credit reports, and photos. The private investigator's report was damning. Emma and Jake owed over $80,000 in credit card debt. They'd taken out a second mortgage on their house and missed 3 payments. Jake had a gambling problem, losing thousands at the casino every month. There were photos of Emma at expensive restaurants, shopping at designer stores, taking trips to Las Vegas, all while she was telling Mom how tight money was on a teacher's salary. They're broke, Harold said quietly. Worse than broke. They're about to lose everything. The report also showed Emma had been researching the value of Mom's house for over a year. She'd driven by multiple times with a real estate agent, taking photos and measurements. She's been planning this for months, I realized. Harold nodded. Your mother suspected Emma was waiting for her to die. That's why she hid the real will and made copies of everything. I thought about Emma's dry eyes at the funeral, her expensive clothes, her eagerness to sell the house immediately. She hadn't been grieving for Mom. She'd been celebrating her payday. My phone buzzed. Emma again. The buyer can meet tomorrow at 2 p.m. Bring the will and your ID. We can sign the papers and have this finished by the weekend. Finished by the weekend. 4 days after Mom's funeral, I showed Harold the text. His jaw tightened. Your sister is in a hurry. What do I do? Harold smiled grimly. You show up to that meeting, but you won't be signing what she expects. The next afternoon, I arrived at Emma's house 15 minutes early. I sat in my car and watched through the window as Emma, Jake, and a third man talked at the kitchen table. The third man wore an expensive suit and kept checking his watch. At exactly 2 p.m., I knocked on the door. Emma answered with a huge smile. Alex, come in, come in. I want you to meet Tom Miller. He's the buyer. Tom Miller stood up and shook my hand firmly. He was about 50, with gray hair and cold eyes. Mr. Parker, I'm sorry for your loss. I hope we can make this transition easy for everyone. Tom specializes in quick sales, Jake explained. No inspections, no appraisals, no waiting for bank loans. Cash in hand by Friday. Emma spread paperwork across the table. This is the sales contract. $300,000, split 50-50 between us. You'll get a check for $150,000 tomorrow. I looked at the papers, but didn't touch them. This seems really fast. Tom Miller leaned forward. Mr. Parker, I understand this is emotional, but opportunities like this don't last forever. I have other properties I'm looking at. If you're not ready to sell today, I'll have to move on to the next one. Emma's smile got tighter. Alex, don't overthink this. It's a good deal. But I was thinking about Mom's letter, about the private investigator's report, about Emma's fake tears and designer clothes. I need to ask you something, Emma, I said slowly. When did Mom make her will? Emma blinked twice before answering. A few months ago. Why? Did you help her with it? I recommended a lawyer. Mom wasn't good with legal stuff. Tom Miller checked his watch again. Folks, I hate to rush this, but I have another appointment in an hour. Can we move forward with the signing? I pulled out my phone and pretended to check something. Really, I was starting the recording app Amanda had told me to use. Emma, who was the lawyer you recommended? Patricia Williams. She's very good. Emma's voice was steady, but her hands fidgeted with her wedding ring. And Mom signed the will in front of witnesses? Of course. That's how wills work, Alex. Jake put his hand on Emma's shoulder. Is there a problem here? I looked around the room at the three of them. Emma with her fake smile, Jake with his nervous energy, Tom Miller with his expensive suit and cold eyes. They all thought they were about to steal my inheritance. No problem, I said. I just want to make sure I understand everything before I sign. Tom Miller pushed a pen toward me. The contract is straightforward. You're selling your half of the house for $150,000. Sign here, here, and here. I picked up the pen and held it over the first signature line. Emma leaned forward, watching eagerly. Jake grinned. Tom Miller's cold eyes never left my face. Then I set the pen down. Actually, there is one small problem. What kind of problem? Emma asked. Her voice was higher now, strained. I don't think I actually own half the house. The room went silent. Tom Miller frowned. Jake's grin disappeared. Emma's face went pale. What do you mean? Emma whispered. I mean, I think I own the whole house, and I think you know that. Emma stood up so fast her chair fell backward. That's ridiculous. We both saw the will. We both inherited 50-50. We both saw a will, I agreed. But I don't think it was Mom's real will. Tom Miller started gathering his papers. Look, if there are legal issues here, I need to withdraw my offer. I can't buy a house with a disputed title. There's no dispute, Jake said quickly. Alex is just being emotional. His mother died 3 days ago. But Tom Miller was already standing. I'm sorry, folks. Come back to me when you have clear ownership. He walked out without another word. Emma's carefully controlled mask finally cracked. Alex, what are you doing? You just cost us $150,000. I cost us? I repeated. Or I saved myself from selling something that wasn't mine to sell. Emma's eyes filled with tears, but they looked different from her tears at the funeral. These looked real. Desperate. Alex, please, I need this money. You don't understand how bad things are. I understand perfectly, I said. You're broke. You owe $80,000. Jake gambles away your paycheck every month, and you thought Mom's death was your big payday. Emma's mouth fell open. Jake cursed under his breath. How do you know about our debts? Emma demanded. The same way I know about Patricia Williams retiring 2 years ago. The same way I know Mom's signature on that will was traced. The same way I know you've been planning this for over a year. Emma sank back into her chair. The tears were flowing freely now, real tears of panic and defeat. Alex, please, she whispered. They're going to take our house. Jake owes money to dangerous people. If we don't pay them back, you should have thought about that before you tried to steal from me, I said. Jake slammed his fist on the table. She's your sister. Family helps family. Family doesn't forge wills and lie at funerals, I shot back. I pulled out the real will and set it on the table. Emma stared at it like it was a snake. This is Mom's actual will, I explained. Dated 5 years ago. Witnessed by a real lawyer and our neighbor. It leaves me the house and you the savings account and jewelry. Emma picked up the document with shaking hands. As she read it, her face crumpled. The savings account has $800 in it, she whispered. The jewelry is worth maybe $2,000. That's what Mom wanted you to have. Emma looked up at me with red eyes. Alex, that's not enough. It's not nearly enough. I'll lose everything. You already lost everything when you decided to betray me. I stood up to leave. Emma grabbed my arm. Wait, please, can't we work something out? Maybe I could live in the house too? Or you could sell it and give me more than my share. I looked down at my sister, really looked at her. Her expensive clothes couldn't hide how desperate and scared she was. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Emma, you stood at Mom's grave and handed me fake papers while her body was still warm. You've been lying to me for months. Why would I trust you now? She let go of my arm. Because I'm your sister. Because we're the only family each other has left. You stopped being my family the day you decided to steal from me. I walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Jake cursing and Emma sobbing. Part of me wanted to turn around to find some way to help them. But I remembered Mom's letter. This house belongs to Alex. It's his home, and it should stay his home. Mom had known this day would come. She'd prepared for it, protected me from it. The least I could do was honor her wishes. I drove to Harold Brooks' office and gave him the recording from my phone. He listened to the whole thing with a grim expression. That's enough evidence to file charges for fraud and forgery, he said when it finished. I don't want to send Emma to jail. I just want her to leave me alone. Harold nodded. We can use this as leverage. Make her sign a document admitting the will was fake and agreeing never to contest your ownership of the house. And if she refuses, then we turn the recording over to the police. Forging legal documents is a felony, Alex. She could go to prison for 5 years. I thought about Emma crying at her kitchen table, about Jake's gambling debts and dangerous people, about the life they'd built on borrowed money and stolen hopes. Give me one more day, I said. Let me try to settle this without destroying her completely. I called Emma that evening. She answered on the first ring. Alex, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. Meet me at Mom's house tomorrow morning, I said. 10 a.m., come alone. Jake wants to talk to you too, maybe we can. Come alone, Emma, this is between you and me. I spent that evening in Mom's house, sitting in her favorite chair, thinking about forgiveness and justice and family. Mom's voice echoed in my memory. Emma always was too smart for her own good, but smart and wise were different things. Emma was brilliant at schemes and plans and getting what she wanted, but she wasn't wise enough to understand that some things were more important than money. The next morning, Emma arrived exactly on time. She looked awful, pale, exhausted, like she hadn't slept. She dressed down for the first time since I could remember, wearing jeans and an old sweater instead of designer clothes. "Thank you for giving me another chance," she said as I let her in. We sat in Mom's living room, in the same chairs where we used to watch cartoons on Saturday mornings 30 years ago. "I have a recording of yesterday's conversation," I told her. "You admitting you recommended a fake lawyer. You lying about Mom's will. All of it." Emma's shoulders sagged. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to sign a legal document admitting you forged the will. I want you to promise never to contest my ownership of this house. And I want you to get help for Jake's gambling problem." "And if I do that?" "I won't press charges. You won't go to prison." Emma was quiet for a long time. She looked around the living room at the family photos, at Mom's books on the shelves, at the piano nobody had played in 10 years. "I used to be happy here," she said softly, "before I got so worried about money all the time. You can be happy again, but not by stealing from family. Jake says money is the only thing that matters. He says people who don't focus on money are losers." I thought about my job at the auto shop, my small savings account, my simple life. By Jake's standards, I probably was a loser. But I could sleep at night without worrying about debts or lies or who I'd hurt to get what I wanted. "Mom left you some money," I said, "and her jewelry. It's not much, but it's real." Emma wiped her eyes. "It's not enough to save our house." "Then maybe you need a smaller house. Maybe Jake needs to stop gambling. Maybe you both need to learn to live within your means." She nodded slowly. "You're right. I know you're right. I just got so scared, so desperate. When Mom got sick, all I could think about was how expensive everything was. The medical bills, the funeral costs, our debts piling up. This house seemed like the answer to all our problems." "It was never your house to sell, Emma." "I know that now. I knew it then too, but I convinced myself Mom would understand, that she'd want to help us." I pulled out the legal document Harold Brooks had prepared. "Sign this, and we can both move on with our lives." Emma read it carefully, then signed her name at the bottom. Her handwriting looked shaky, defeated. "I really am sorry, Alex. Not just sorry I got caught. Sorry I did it at all." After Emma left, I called Harold Brooks and told him she'd signed the document. The house was legally mine now, with no possibility of future challenges. "What are you going to do with it?" Harold asked. I looked around the living room, at 32 years of memories. "I'm going to live in it. Take care of it the way Mom wanted." That afternoon, I walked through every room, really seeing it for the first time since Mom died. In her bedroom, I found the shoebox again and carefully put all the documents back inside. But this time, I didn't hide it. I put it on my dresser, where I could see it every day. Mom's letter was still there. "This house belongs to Alex. It's his home, and it should stay his home." She'd been protecting me even after she died. She'd known Emma better than I had, seen through her charm to the desperation underneath. I called the cemetery and asked about visiting hours. I wanted to tell Mom that her plan had worked, that the house was safe, that I understood now why she'd been so careful with her final wishes. At the grave, I knelt down and placed fresh flowers on the headstone. "I found your hiding spot," I said quietly. "I found everything. Emma tried to take the house, but you stopped her. Even after you were gone, you were still taking care of me." The wind rustled through the oak trees above. For just a moment, it almost sounded like Mom's voice saying, "That's what mothers do, Alex. We protect our children however we can." 2 weeks later, Emma called me one more time. "Alex, I wanted you to know we're moving. Jake got a job in another state, and we're selling our house to pay off the debts." "That's probably for the best," I said. "I also wanted to thank you for not pressing charges. I know I didn't deserve your mercy." There was a long pause. Then Emma said, "I keep thinking about something Mom used to say when we were kids. Do you remember?" She'd say, Being smart and being wise are two different things. I smiled. I remember. I was smart enough to forge documents and plan a scheme, but I wasn't wise enough to understand what really mattered. You got the wisdom, Alex. Mom would be proud of you. After she hung up, I sat in Mom's kitchen and thought about forgiveness and family and second chances. Emma had tried to steal from me, but she was still my sister. Maybe someday, when enough time had passed, we could find our way back to being family again. But not yet. Some wounds needed time to heal. I opened the newspaper to the classified ads and found what I was looking for. Piano lessons, all ages welcome. Mom's piano had been sitting silent for 10 years. It was time to bring music back to the house. The piano teacher, Mrs. Chen, came by that evening to look at the instrument. "This is a beautiful piano," she said, running her fingers over the keys. "It just needs tuning. Someone loved this piano once. My mother did. She always wanted me to learn, but I was too busy with other things." Mrs. Chen smiled. "It's never too late to start." 3 months later, I could play Happy Birthday and Amazing Grace without making too many mistakes. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Mom would have laughed at my clumsy fingers on the keys, but she would have been proud that I was trying. The house felt different now, lighter somehow. I'd painted the kitchen and fixed the leaky faucet in the bathroom. I'd planted flowers in Mom's garden and repaired the fence she'd always meant to get around to. Charlie offered me a promotion at the auto shop, assistant manager with a small raise. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough to maintain the house and maybe save a little for the future. One evening, while I was practicing piano, someone knocked on the door. It was Mrs. Janet from next door, the woman who'd witnessed Mom's real will. "I hope you don't mind me stopping by," she said. "I just wanted to check on you. Your mother was very worried about what would happen after she passed." I invited her in for coffee. She sat in Mom's favorite chair and looked around the room approvingly. "She'd be happy to see you here," Mrs. Janet said. "She used to worry that Emma would try to take advantage of you. Your mother wasn't book smart, but she understood people. Why didn't she just cut Emma out of the will completely?" Mrs. Janet sipped her coffee thoughtfully. "Because she loved Emma too, despite everything. She wanted to leave her something, just not everything. Your mother believed in consequences, but she also believed in hope. Hope. Maybe that's why Emma got the savings account and jewelry instead of nothing. Mom had hoped that someday Emma would learn the difference between being smart and being wise." "Has Emma contacted you since she moved?" Mrs. Janet asked. "Once, to say goodbye. I think she's trying to start over." Mrs. Janet nodded. "Second chances are precious things. Your mother would want you to remember that when you're ready." 6 months after Mom's funeral, I was finally ready to clean out her bedroom completely. I'd been avoiding it, keeping the door closed, pretending it was still her room. But the house needed to be mine now, not a museum of memories. I donated most of her clothes to charity, but I kept a few things. Her favorite sweater that still smelled like her perfume, a jewelry box she'd had since she was young, the photo album from my childhood. In the back of her closet, behind where I'd found the shoebox, there was one more thing. A small wrapped present with my name on it. The wrapping paper was Christmas paper from last year, even though Mom had died in March. Inside was a small leather journal and a note. "Alex, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone and you've survived whatever Emma tried to do. I'm proud of you for being strong and wise. Use this journal to write down your new memories in this house. Make it yours now, not mine. Love always, Mom." I sat on the floor and cried for the 3rd time since Mom died. But these were different tears, not tears of grief or anger, but tears of gratitude. Mom had thought of everything, even a final gift to help me move forward. That night, I wrote my first entry in the journal. Today I finished cleaning out Mom's room. Tomorrow I'm going to paint it blue and make it an office. The house is really mine now. Emma's been gone 6 months and I think I'm finally ready to forgive her. Not forget, but forgive. Mom would want that. I closed the journal and looked around the living room. My living room. My piano. My home. For the first time since the funeral, I felt truly at peace. 1 year after Mom's funeral, I received an unexpected letter in the mail. The return address was from Emma, postmarked from Arizona. Inside was a cashier's check for $800 and a short note. Alex, this is the money from Mom's savings account. I never took it out of the bank. I wanted you to have it back. Jake is in counseling for his gambling, and I'm teaching again. We're not rich, but we're honest now. I think about you in the house often. I hope you're happy there. Love, Emma. I stared at the check for a long time. $800 wasn't much money, but it represented something more important. Emma was trying to make things right, piece by piece. I deposited the check and used the money to buy a new dining room set. The old one had wobbled ever since I was a kid. Mom always said she'd get it fixed someday, but someday never came. 2 weeks later, I wrote Emma a short letter. Thank you for returning the money. I'm glad you and Jake are getting help. The house is good. I'm learning piano, and I think Mom would be proud. Maybe someday you can visit and hear me play. Take care of yourself. I didn't invite her to visit immediately. Some wounds still needed more time. But I left the door open for the future, the way Mom would have wanted. That evening, I sat at the piano and played Amazing Grace all the way through without making a single mistake. Through the window, I could see Mom's garden blooming with the flowers I'd planted. The house was full of new memories now, built on the foundation of old ones. Emma's betrayal had nearly destroyed everything, but Mom's wisdom and love had been stronger than Emma's desperation and greed. I opened my journal and wrote one final entry about that chapter of my life. Today I forgave my sister completely, not because she deserved it, but because Mom taught me that holding on to anger is like holding on to poison. The house is mine, but more importantly, I'm finally home. Outside, the wind rustled through the oak trees, and for just a moment, it sounded like Mom whispering, "Well done, Alex. Well done."